Hey there, I'm Matt Payne. It's great to see you. And if I can get my laser pointer going here. All right, the slides, you don't have to take notes. They're right out here. And they're also mentioned elsewhere. Here we go. Web development is fun. Python has a very popular framework for doing this called Flask. And in this talk, you're going to learn how to create web applications using the software as a service platform, Replit.com, which has a tremendous free tier. You don't have to buy anything to have this kind of fun. We're going to show you how to make the Flask app on Replit. We're going to show you how Flask connects the path based on the path of the HTTP request to various Python functions using decorators. We're going to talk about templates, which are the view and the MVC pattern. And we're also going to show you this nice little Replit Python package that provides authentication and a really easy to use persistent database. Of course, we're going to process some information from the web browser in terms of get parameter passing as well as plain old forms. So here we go. When you come to repl.it, repl.it, you can create a REPL. You can choose from many different languages. Python is today's focus. Give it any name you like. At the free tier, you can only have public repos. You click create the REPL and boom, you're in. One of the first things that you're going to want to do is turn it into something that can use Flask. And a really great and easy way to do that is to go to the dependencies and packages here and search for Replit and take the Replit version 3.2 and install it. That package has other dependencies, including Flask, which is our focus. Once that's done, you can write the hello world of Flask. It's super simple. You import the Flask library or framework. You start a Flask application. You tell that application, hey, when someone asks for the root or slash, execute the index function. That function is going to return hello world. That's what they see in the web browser, built-in web browser inside of Replit. And you have a little bit of boilerplate that says, hey, I want to accept connections from anywhere on the internet, and I want to listen on TCP port 8080. Once that's done, you're going to want some templates because MVC is a nice way to organize things. So you're going to go back to the files icon and click on adding a folder. You're going to create a templates folder. And then when you have a template file inside the templates folder, the Python to send information to that view is render template, the name of the view file, the template file, and whatever models. You can have more than one in it passed in. And that connects in here where you have some mustache syntax that interpolates the value of the variable name. So the Python looks like this. Thing that's notable here is we can get to this function hello with this route on line 11 or a route that also has someone's name on it. And inside the template, if the name is present, we say hello to them. If the name is not present, we just say hello world. So that's a whirlwind tour in under 4 minutes. We've started a Flask app with Replit. We've pounded into your head the app route decorator, and we've demonstrated using templates and returning a string. If you're just doing APIs, instead of a plain string, you'd return JSON, which is just a fancy string. So coming up next, we're going to see who the end user is with authentication. We're going to deal with a very simple database. Spoiler alert, it's just a dictionary. We're going to get information from the web browser. So off we go. We have this decorator web authenticated. And when we use that, the end user sees a dialog like this unless they've already logged in. And when they click authorize, your program can know about them. So let's have a little demo of this killer app. So here it is, live and in person without CSS. A little hungry given this talk. I need a Rice Krispie treat and I need to wash it down with a delicious high caffeine drink. I owe the Snack Shack $1.33 now. So gee whiz, I'm going to deposit some money. I'll put in $10 and record that payment Now, when I go back to home, you can see that I have a credit of $8.67. So how does all of this accomplish? Well, when we were clicking the item that we wanted to eat, we were really interacting with the HTML generated on line 8 here that goes to the buy path and passes in a parameter that item equals item. And because of the app route decorator, it executes this buy function. And the first thing it does is look into the requests arguments and get the argument called item, which is what we're buying. Then we use the magic of the Repli package to get the user store, the database that's associated with this current user. We look into that user database to say, hey, is there an object called purchases? If it isn't present, return an empty list. Append onto the purchases list the item that they just bought, and then save it back out to the database again. Easy peasy, no SQL. When we're done, we return a redirect to the URL that corresponds to the Python function called home. This takes us back to the list of snacks that we can buy. Okay, now we need to do the deposit. And to do the deposit, we need the de facto, the creme de la creme of form processing in Flask, what the forms. The thing to note here is that sometimes when you search for a package, you don't want the first thing that comes back. We want version 3. Okay, so here's the template for the form, and you'll notice that it's got a model object called form that we're using in several places. And that model object corresponds to this class that extends or inherits from Flask form. This class requires a money item, and then it has a submit that says record payment. Inside of the D for deposit route, we call this deposit function. We get our database. We check to see if there's anything in the form that was submitted. If so, we append the amount to the database. There are some quirks in the Repli package. It doesn't like floating point numbers, so I'm using a Python formatted string to turn that number into a string to store it. And okay, 7.5 minutes in, you've seen a lot of things. You've seen the routes, the templates. You can see that templates can extend a base or a layout. That's how we have that menu every single time on the bottom. Replit's package for doing database does tie you to Replit, but after all, this talk is not, hey, let's go run our enterprise on Flask. A lot of enterprises do. Flask is an industrial strength framework that a lot of people make a lot of money using. But this is about the call to action to have fun programming. You can use the Replit free tier to do all of this. You don't have to pay $7 a month, but wouldn't you feel better if you did? All right. Other miscellaneous tidbits are hanging out here in the slides. One of the things that's really fun to see is the Git integration, but I'm out of time, so maybe that's a talk for another time. Have fun programming. Thank you.